much for tuning in today's dance movie review. For those who are new to my channel, my name is Tia Joy. Welcome. And to everyone else who is already subscribed to this channel, what is up, fam? And those who just joined, welcome. I am so glad that you are here because I got a dance movie review for you. And we're going to talk about Shall We Dance? Now, before I get into this dance review, I need to do a couple of things. Number one, subscribe to this channel if you have not yet. I've been seeing some of y'all and you're not subscribed yet. Hit that subscribe button right down there and check out my other dance reviews I have done as well. Plus, hit that bell so that way you can be in the know when I'm loading a video. Shall We Dance came out in 2004 and it was directed by Peter Chelson. And so this movie is about a guy named John Clark. Now every time I hear this name, it just reminds me of Lean On Me with Mr. Clark.
Yo, Mr. Clark, I was just fooling around. Gotcha.
Anyway, that's what it reminds me of. But anyway, John Clark, he is a guy and he has this routine with his life, which kind of reminds me of Mr. Deeds, where where he has the thing he do every single day at the same time. It's like almost like a robot. So with this movie, it's the same thing. So Richard, he's pretty much a businessman, and so he has this routine that he does every single day, going to work, doing the same thing, helping people with having his clients, going back home at a specific time, and just doing the same thing every single day. And so when he is on the train, and this is in Chicago, and so when he's on the train, he ends up seeing a beautiful girl in the window who just looked pretty sad. And so she's in the window of a studio called Miss Mitzi dance studio, and so he finally takes the courage to get off the train and go in so he can find out get a little, I'd say a little bit closer look at this beautiful woman, but also it's dancing. And so he ends up finding out about ballroom and signing up for the class, and he goes every single Wednesday at 7:30 and takes ballroom classes. And he ends up meeting a girl, and Miss Mitzi, John Clark. So let's go back. John Clark, he's played by Richard Gere. We have Miss Mitzi, and she's played by Anita Gillette. And so Miss Anita Gillette, she owns the whole studio, and they do ballroom, and they also do competition dances as well. And so he ends up meeting Paulina, who is the girl in the window, who is J-Lo. And she's just so adorable. It's like, yes, J-Lo up in her, okay. And so he ends up taking a class with Chick, who is played by Barbie Cannavale, and also Vern, played by Omar Benson. And so these guys, they're learning ballroom, they're taking class. At first, Miss Mitzi like, oh Lord, these guys are super newbies because it's the beginning. And when you take a beginning class, you don't know where people's level are, so it's like, oh Lord, help me Lord to get through this. But later on, he ends up keep going and ends up having a great time and doing something new, which it changes his whole schedule, which is something that he's not really used to. And so Beverly, she is the wife of Clark, and she's played by Suzanne Sarandon, and she is the wife of John. And once again, they have this, it's like this schedule that they do the same thing over and over again, and she has her job, he has his job, and boom, that's just what they do. And when he's also at the studio, he meets Bobby, who's played by Lisa Ann Walter. And this girl is just straight up, she's a blunt person, straight up. She's going to tell you like it is. She doesn't care about your feelings, but also she's a very hardworking woman. She works 12 hours at her job, and she goes helps an elderly person for extra cash, and also comes to classes because she's a person that loves taking ballroom, and she always want to have these fancy dresses. But also she's hilarious, so I actually like her. She's actually funny. But anyway, and then we have Maya, who is playing as Vern's fiance. So let's go. And we'll have Jaru, who does a special appearance. What I also liked about this movie is I like how throughout the movie you see some Fred Astaire, because I know Fred Astaire, he did Shall We Dance the movie. And I also know the song Shall We Dance from The King and I was also featured in this movie as well. And every time I hear Shall We Dance, it just reminds me of The King and I, which it is, you know, the song is from it, but it's just funny because I just love the scene when she is teaching him how to dance. And I also like the little moment that he has with Mitzi and brings her out on the floor in the club and they do the Shall We Dance, and it's just so funny how they're doing it just like it was in The King and I. And it was just so funny because I love The King, and he was so funny when he was like 1 2 3 and then he's like, you threw me off count. Like, I just love that. So I love The King and I. That's like one of my favorite movies. So I just really love that scene with Miss Anna and the King when they were both dancing and he's trying to figure out the Shall We Dance. That was so funny. So I really love how they actually added that in this movie because it actually matches with the title, which is Shall We Dance. So that was another fun scene that I love, a fun thing that I love about this movie as well. So I'm going to get into some of my favorite scenes I like about this movie. So my first favorite scene I love is when Paulina and Mr. Clark, and they are dancing in the studio. So John, he's been invited to dance at the dance competition, the dance ballroom competition, and so he's doing the waltz and also the quick step. What was it? The two step, the quick step, and so he's trying to prepare, and so he's a little bit nervous. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. He's afraid he's going to misstep. So Paulina takes him back to the studio, and she works with him. And I just really love this scene because, first of all, we get to see Paulina really dance because she's a professional dancer, but also she teaches at Miss Mitzi's dance studio. So that way she can teach other people how to ballroom dancing. But also she has a story behind it, why she do what you do, which you gotta watch to find out. But I just love the scene because we see Paulina finally comes out and really dance and see her character in full term, because really when she's dancing, she's just practicing but this one when she dances Mr. Clark, she really comes alive, and also gives the opportunity for Mr. Clark to come alive too, because he's nervous. He's never done this a dance competition before, and so she's pretty much teaching him how to get out of the box, not to think about the steps but to feel for the music. And that kind of reminds me of the last dance review I've done, and I put that up there, which is Dance With Me with Ruby, when she was trying to do the same thing, and Raphael had to help her and say, yo, like, you need to feel the music. It's not about the steps, it's not about the counts, it's about feeling the music and letting the music lead you. And so in this moment, that's what Paulina is teaching John to do, is to lead with and let the music move you. And she said, don't move unless you feel the music. And so I just really love the scene. They're really, you know, embracing the movements. They're really embracing and that chemistry they have with each other, and I just really love it. It's a beautiful scene. They're very sharp and quick with their movements, but then again, they're really like together. They're really on point. They're really extending and using up the space and using up the music and extending out to the music. It won't stop until you know you need to go into something else. And so I just really love this scene between those two. And my second favorite scene that I love also is with what was his name? With Link, who is played by Stanley Tucci. And so this guy, so I love him so much because this guy loves ballroom, but also he hides it behind a wig because he doesn't want people to know how much he loves dancing. And I know watching, he was saying how he just wanted to get to a place where he could really dance and be himself without being judged. Even though when it comes to you being yourself, you're going to be judged anyway. But in order for him to really truly love dancing, he dances, but he also had this wig on. It was so funny in the scene when they showed him dancing, and John was in the class. He was like, this dude looks so familiar, but he was hiding behind the wig. He was trying to hide, and it was so funny. He took the wig off. He's like, Link, it's you? So it was just so funny. But I just really love this scene in this competition when he's dancing, because at first he's dancing with the wig, and then I just love how Bobby, once again, she's that blunt person. She's gonna just tell you like it is, and she's like, you're so busy focused on that wig, you need to take that wig off and just be yourself. Gosh darn it, you're gonna cause us to lose this competition because you try to hide. Like, just be yourself, lose the wig. And I just love how he takes the wig and he's like, fuck this. It's so funny because he's really trying to hide, but you know he can't. But he's an amazing dancer. Because at first Bobby really didn't want to dance with him because he's like a weirdo. He's like, oh my god, you guys like a little too obsessed. But then the more she starts dancing with him, she started to really realize how fun he is and how great he is. And I just really loved him in this scene when he finally loses the wig and actually beats himself. This dude kills the floor. He's like, he tears the floor up and he's really confident. He's got this huge smile and it's like, everything that he always wanted, he's actually in this moment dancing. And I just really love to see him finally be himself and finally embrace dance like he really wants to without being ashamed about what people will think or what people will say. And I know a little bit later, like they were making fun of him, and I just love how he takes the girl and just swings her back. And he's like, F all of y'all. Because it's like, I know what I am. And he finally got to a point of like, this, I'm a ballroom dancer. This is who I am. I love dancing. I love doing it. It's fun. So it's like, I just love this scene when he finally breaks out and sets free. Now, the lesson that I learned in this movie, and this kind of made me mad, but I'm kind of grateful at like, it finally came to the conclusion like it did, because it really bugged me. But the lesson that I definitely learned was communication and how important that is in a relationship. With John, he had this specific schedule that he was doing the same thing every single day. And when you be consistent, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a moment where you had to add a little spice to it and change things up. And there's nothing wrong with him changing things up. But at the same time, one thing that he lacked to do was communicate with his wife. And he also lied. It's like, you know, if you lie, you're going to have to tell another lie on top of that lie just to cover the lie you just told. So why don't you just be honest? It's like, why don't you just come out and be truthful and just let your wife know what you're doing? And the thing is, Beverly wasn't like the person where it's like, she was a very strict person, like very controlling, like we got to do this. Like, she wasn't even that type of person. She was like a really understanding person, but the thing is, he just did not communicate with her about him taking ballroom. He should have said, honey, you know, I'm taking ballroom classes and I absolutely love it. And one thing that and if he would have communicated, especially when you're in a marriage and you're knowing that you're coming home at a different time, and she's noticing these things, like he's coming home late, I don't know where he is, he's not saying anything. I called the office, they said he was gone, but he's saying he was over at another office. Like, she's trying to figure it out. So she ended up hiring an investigator who is Divine, who's played by Richard Jenkins, and Nick Cannon, and Scott, who's played by Nick Cannon. I didn't know Nick Cannon was in here. So it's like, okay, Nikki, I see you. But anyway, but she ended up hiring investigators to figure out what her husband is doing. And it's like, see, if you would have just communicated, she wouldn't have to do all of that. She wouldn't have to hire an investigator. And on top of that, she was already dealing with someone who was already going through a marriage crisis, because she ended up finding out that her husband was cheating on her for 5 years behind her back. And so by her, Beverly, she's hearing that from her friend, and the person that she's working with. And now she's wondering, like, why is my husband coming home late? I'm smelling his clothes and it smells like perfume and I don't know why. And then on top of that, he went to the competition and didn't even tell her. Like, the investigators had to invite her to the competition because he did. So I'm busy watching this, figuring out, okay, when is he going to finally tell his wife that he's doing ballroom? And it was making me mad because he's still just doing all this stuff behind her back. And the daughter's like, seeing him dancing around like, that's acting weird. But the thing is, even when she found out finally what he was doing, she wanted to learn, because she started reading his notes that he was taking from the classes, and she was dancing himself. So it's like, but the one thing that I really loved about her, about what she said, is she said marriage to her is about witnessing. And what she mean is witnessing the moments of seeing someone that you love, you know, succeed or fail, or just being there, be in that atmosphere. And she also said that marriage to her is about caring about that person through the bull, through the good, through the bad, through, like, even if he killed somebody, she's still gonna love him. It's about caring about that person and making a choice to do so. For her, it's about caring and being a witness to your partner through their success, through their greatness, through their failures, through their hard times, through their good times, through their sickness, through their badness, just being a witness and being there. Like, you may not even say anything, but just being a witness. And that was something to her. And she wanted, and it's like, she's knowing that her husband is taking ballroom, and she wanted to be a witness. She wanted to be a witness to that moment, to his happiness. And I was just upset that he just did not tell her. But one thing I can give him props to is I'm grateful that he got to a point of realizing that that hurt her. And sometimes we forget that in relationships, regardless if it's marriage or friendship, whatever the thing is, if you mean something to me, communicate. And if you don't communicate and you keep doing things, it's going to hurt people around you. And his decision was not only affecting his wife, but it was also affecting his daughter. And Beverly was to the point like, I want to learn too. And he's like, no, I don't want to dance anymore. And I love the daughter is straight up me, because I would have been the same thing. I'm like, and why would you give up dancing? And why will you not teach your mom how to dance? That would have been me all day. Not saying that I would say, I probably wouldn't say exactly like that. I respect my parents, point blank period. But I will be also honest and upfront, like why wouldn't you? Like, why? And so I just learned that communication is so much key. And if you love someone, communicate. It's very simple. And don't make a decision for them. I would be darned if someone made a decision for me without me being able to have an opinion myself. And I felt like he did that. By him not communicating, he was almost making a decision for her of how she would react when you don't know if you don't say anything. So that's why it's important just to nip it in the bud now and don't wait until later, because later it's going to get worse rather than just doing it in the moment. So just communicate. And so that's just the lesson I learned, is communicate. And also, of course, be yourself, because with Link, he wasn't comfortable being himself because he was afraid of people think, because people called him a freak every time he tried ballroom. But he got to a point of, you know what, I just need to be myself. If people don't like it, who cares? Like, screw you, pretty much. So that's two lessons that I learned in this movie, and I hope maybe you can learn too. So just communicate, people. It's not that hard. Sometimes we make the simplest things difficult. It may hurt. It's understandable, but it's better to communicate than to lie. He should have been honest, saying, yo, I want to take ballroom because I saw this girl in the window. But even though he saw her, one thing he did say is, by him seeing her in the window, her look was what he was dealing with in the inside, which was, when he saw her, she was sad. Looked like she was depressed. She looked like she was really going through something. And that is very interesting how he said what he saw was matching was on the inside. So I thought that was very interesting, and that's something that he probably should have communicated with his wife too about, and let her know. I saw a beautiful woman in the window. She was gorgeous, because, J-Lo, she is gorgeous. But, no, I wasn't having an affair. I just saw something that just reminded me of what I was dealing with. And for some reason, I connected with that. And it caused me to break something on the inside that I thought I was feeling. And now I'm free. That's something, like, if your wife is your best friend, if your wife is the love of your life, you should be able to be on that level of communication. And I believe he was. It's just he was scared, and it happens. I get it. You could be scared, but the same time, he should have at least communicated. And this is just me as a woman perspective, because if you're being sneaky and stuff like that, the first thing we're going to think is, oh, you're probably cheating. If we smell perfume on your clothes, we're going to think you're probably cheating on us with another woman. But he could have cleared the air if he would have just been open and honest with his wife and let her know what was going on. And of course, she respects him. She's not going to be like all like jugged down his throat. And she wasn't that type of wife, which really showed the type of woman that she is, because she wasn't going to be like, bruh, like, why am I smelling? Are you cheated? Like, she wasn't that type of person. She was like, okay, he's coming home late. Okay, I'm smelling perfume. Okay, hey, I called the office and I was looking for you. You weren't there. Oh, I was in another office. Okay, even though she already knows. And the thing is, we gonna find out anyway. So it's like, men, don't be sneaky. Because us women, we're gonna find out. Just saying. And women, don't be sneaky. Because the men, they're gonna find out. Just don't do it. But that's all that I have, y'all, for this dance review. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button and also subscribe. Plus, hit that bell so you'll be instantly notified when I upload a new content. And plus, check out my other dance reviews that I have done, because I've done a lot. If you haven't seen my latest one, Dance With Me, definitely go check that one out as well. Because, y'all, these boobs are getting juicy. Okay. So I upload a new dance review every single Thursday. And also, amazing job to the choreographer, who is John O'Connell, and he did a great job on this, on the choreography. Also job to the associate choreographer, who was Liz Curtis, and she was also the choreographer for just the movie review I just did, Dance With Me. So make sure you go, so great job to her for that. Also job for the choreographer for Paulina's Party, who is Joanne Jansen, so a great job to her. And the choreography, also the Hip Hop Club, Fatima Robinson, and Joanne Jansen's assistant choreographer was Alan Walls. So amazing job to all the choreographers. You guys did a great job. Amazing job to all the dancers. You will definitely be listed in my Dancers Hall of Fame at the end of this dance review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and y'all do not forget to make good choices, okay?